Alright, so I thought I'll go into some of the spoilers because this is that kind of a movie. First and foremost, Rocky Bhai is dead, or is he? Okay, so the main thing is how chapter 2 ends is that it supposedly Rocky is dead, and but I have my doubts there. I'll come back to that. But of course, the biggest tease or the biggest twist over there is the possibility of chapter 3. As you can see in the mid-credits scene, and there is a mid-credits scene, the Pune from the first movie and second movie, right? He's the sort of the one who discovers the chapter 2 book. Like I said in the beginning, they discover chapter 2, the final draft. Similarly, in the evening or something after the narration of chapter 2, he's sort of going through the books on the desk and things like that, and he comes across another book over there, and it's again sitting on top of another book. So he moves that book away, and it shows KGF chapter 3. So as soon as you it cuts to black. So I thought it was a great tease, the way they've done it. It's really well. Everyone in the theater was just so excited and clapping. It was great to see that. And it's not that they showed 3 completely. It's KGF chapter, and just as about just as you are about to see the 3, just as they move and you see a hint of the 3 over there, they cut to black. So I thought it was a great little tease. Now coming to Rocky Bhai itself, the ending is just phenomenal. Like I said, there are certain shots in this movie that looks like a painting, and climax is filled with those scenes. Ramika Sen, of course, orders KGF to be destroyed, and she enforces the army. The Air Force goes over there and they fire missiles at it. And again, the way they've shot all these scenes, it's like, how do I say that? They show that the missiles coming down onto the city of KGF, and it's been evacuated. Rocky made arrangements to set up another city for all the people over there, and they kind of evacuate before all of this happens. So it's basically a ghost town at that point. The army raid the compound and they see that no one's over there, no one's in the city. So they basically just destroyed. The army just bombs it, with missiles. But again, they show the missiles, like it's like what do you say? It's like fire falling from the sky. That's how they picturized it. It looks really exciting. Now, intercut with those scenes are Rocky Bhai himself. He's actually on a yacht, and he's kind of sailing ahead into international waters. So you have the Indonesian, ship or the Navy, warning him that not to come into Indonesian waters. And there's the Indian Army, and then there's the American and Russian sub nearby, and everyone's warning him. In fact, they say that Rocky actually sends a fax to the Indian Navy telling him of his location, but they warn him to surrender, to stop, but he doesn't. So they open fire, and they again send missiles at him, and again it's all very cool to watch because it's happening in the ocean. It looks CGI a little bit, but still it looks great on screen. When you're watching it, it's just pure adrenaline. And Rocky Bhai is as stylish as ever. White suit, white jacket, sunglasses, Johnny Walker in his hand. The only way Rocky Bhai is going to go out, and he's got his 1 foot up on the railings, and he's drinking it, and as he's looking up, again, like I said, great big fireballs from the sky. It's the missiles, of course, coming at him, and he's looking at it. And again, here's the thing, they don't really show the missiles. Of course, they obviously they hit the ship, but they don't show it. They cut to black as soon as, because it's understood what happens, right? And but here's the thing, he's standing right in front of the ship or the yacht, and I think it's a ship. Yeah, it's not a yacht, it's more of a ship, I guess. So the missiles come at him, and at least the position of the missiles is supposed to hit the center part of the ship. So he's standing in the front. So these are the things that make me suspicious if he's dead, because he could have been knocked out or pushed across by the force of the explosion. He could have fallen into the ocean. Because in the end, when you see it, yes, he's the whole ship has all the gold from KGF, of course. So all the gold is in the ship, right? And it happens in a part of the sea where there's too much depth. No one can really dive into the sea in that spot and recover all the gold. That's what they say in the mid-credit scene. The gold is lost in an area of the sea or the ocean where diving in is virtually impossible for humans. So they're saying they won't be able to recover any of the gold. So that's another interesting point. And again, coming back to Rocky Bhai again, what they see, again, some of the shots on this are just beautiful. As he's sinking into the ocean, right? He's, sort of, I don't know, what do you say, on his back, I guess, like falling into the ocean. and camera is like it's showing from his behind him, and all around him it's like as he's falling, all the gold bars are right around him, like raining down right in the ocean, right? It's all around him, the gold is like raining down right next to him. Beautiful shots. It's wonderful to see that. And you got the theme that his mother, sort of every time they showed his mother, there's a beautiful little theme going on, and that theme is played again in sort of slow motion, and Dira Dira song also is there, and it's all very emotional and exciting. You can't believe it that they actually pulled off something like that. The visuals they've given us is just a treat to watch, and like I said, the story also emotionally satisfying, and you get it, and that's how it ends. But of course there are your doubts, and in the mid-credit scene, there's a Ramika Sen, Raveena Tandon's character again. She meets up with the CIA officer, and who explains to her that from 1978 to 81, Rocky Bhai did several crimes in the USA, and hence they have a file on. So she gives a file to, the CIA officer gives a file to Ramika Sen, and she opens it. And again, here's what it happens. As she's opening it, it's very slow how she's opening it, and that's exactly, they're intercutting those scenes with the Pune as he's revealing KGF chapter 3, the final draft. As he's moving away. So both scenes are interconnected, or intercut, I mean, and that's how they're showing it. It's very exciting, but you don't find out what exactly the case was, or KGF chapter 3, what happened over there. So there's something over there. There's also the clue that, he's the one who faxes the Indian government, gives away his location. And again, why was, what were the crimes over there? They also talk about the US submarine being nearby. So why were these people nearby? There are all these questions over the head. And again, one interesting sequence is when he first goes to see Ramika Sen, right, in Delhi, Jimmy Carter. And when he introduces himself, he says, "I'm the CEO of this company." And Rocky Bhai introduces himself in the classic Rocky Bhai style. He says, "I'm also CEO," and he asks him, "What?" And Rocky Bhai replies, "CEO of India." It's just one of those things. Like I said, there are like this big mass scenes. It's just so exciting to watch. So I get the feeling that he struck up some kind of friendship with Jimmy Carter, or is that they're going with? Maybe. I just get that feeling because they shook hands, and there was a little tease over there. And they keep doing that because chapter 1 also, there were certain story elements closed here in chapter 2. This is what makes KGF so exciting and rise above the average action blockbuster from Indian movies. There is a genuine attempt at telling a story with multiple characters, motivations, political ideologies, social ideologies, and of course thrilling fictional aspects as well. So for example, Ramika Sen, she's not a villain of sorts. She's an antagonist to Rocky, but she's got a good reason. She's the Prime Minister of India. She's the leader of the country. Rocky is a criminal who's practically gaining power and followers. So what if it comes to a point where Rocky can, sort of take over India? Because that's where it's heading to. At least, that's what it seems like. Ramika Sen, as the PM, understands that, and in fact she gives a small speech in one of the scenes over there where she says there was once a village that was attacked by a bunch of outsiders. The village next to that village decided not to help because they thought, it's not our village, we don't have to help. But then that village was also attacked, and then a village after that also was attacked. The other villagers thought, it's not happening to us, we don't have to interfere. Now at the end of her speech, she says those people who attacked them and conquered them, they were the Britishers, and eventually they conquered India and ruled India for over 250 years. So that's her view on all of this. That's how she looks at Rocky. He's someone again who's got a lot of power. He's got a lot of wealth. In fact, when he meets Ramika Sen, he offers to pay off the national debt. That's how much money he's got. So with all that power and all that money, and of course he's a daredevil, right? He basically goes and challenges people up front. He's not scared. So with all those factors, he's someone who can genuinely not just threaten her power or authority, but he can actually take control over the country, take control over its citizens. Granted, he's a benevolent dictator among his people, and they trust him, they look up to him, but at the end of the day, this is a democracy. And there's a nice little dialogue exchange between him and Raveena Tandon's character where they talk about it. And he in fact says, the only way you can stop me is if you let go of all this democracy politics, and you have to step outside the law to actually beat me. And that's how, so it's a, but Ravina kind of swears, I'll take everything you have, but it's not that easy. He traps her actually, because some of the payment from some of the money he has is going into various people in her party. So they are all objecting to her arresting him or attacking him. So he kind of traps her like that. And he even tells her one line of dialogue, which again, that's what I allude to, the existence of chapter 3 and Rocky being alive. He tells her that I generally avoid war, but if you start a war with me, I won't stop until I have won. And in chapter 2, I don't know if he's won, but he's, at the end you see the people in KGF, he's managed to relocate them to another place. So they're safe. And he alone ventures out into the ocean in a ship full of gold he has. So what was that all about? Is that real gold? We don't know. Again, lots of questions. So and this is what all these theories and ideologies, this is what makes this storytelling so exciting and interesting. So those are some of my thoughts on the spoilers. Anything else I want to add? Reena also, his lady love, she passes away in this movie. Well, she doesn't pass away, she gets shot by Adira. It's sad, but okay, I'll tell you one thing. That was the one part of the movie I felt was underdeveloped and hastily done. I didn't like the romance angle in chapter 1. I didn't like the one in chapter 2 as well. For me it was like, again, this doesn't work for me. And he kind of takes a hostage in the beginning of the movie. Yes, he says he loves her and everything, but but he kind of takes a hostage to where he's staying. Of course, he gives her own room and her space, and he says, until we are married, I won't touch you, all of that, and but still he's holding her against her will. So that's a different matter. I just felt like it felt really awkward, that whole thing, and I just think it wasn't done well. And she practically stays with him for 3 years, and after 3 years he finally says, congratulations, I love you. That's how sweet. I didn't really like that. It didn't work for me. They have a great song called Mehbooba. It's a great romantic track, and I wasn't expecting that, but it was a great song. And of course, one particular day, she comes, it's closer to the ending, she comes to one of the mines or one of the industrial parts of the area, and he's there with his workers and his trusty assistant, and she tells him that she's pregnant. And in that moment, it's not about her. We know about Rocky, right? And this is one of the reasons why Rocky, again, is not just that big mass action hero, right? There is a heart to him. There are certain moments where you look at him and say, okay, I can relate with that. So Rocky is actually, initially she jokes around. She doesn't tell him directly she's pregnant, but she gives hints, and he doesn't get it. So he just tells her, go home, take rest, and he, just as he would walk away, she gives him another hint, and he understands it, and he immediately doesn't turn back. He's taking a few seconds to process the information, and he's happy. He's kind of smiling, and at that very moment, I felt something. Until then, Rocky is unstoppable. He's completely invulnerable, larger than life, hero, action hero, all that stuff. But at that moment, a very human moment, for him, yes, it's hard for him to believe, and he gets a little emotional, and he's smiling. So the way I saw it was that he only had his mother, the one person he loved. He doesn't have a lot of friends, anything like that. He just had his mother, and he has memories of her. That's it. So the first time now he gets to be a dad, and his lady love is now a mother. So for him, that's after a long time, he has something very close and very personal to him, and you can see the joy on his face. And as he turns around, Adira, of course, fires from behind, kills her. It's very emotional. It's not particularly for the character of Reena. I genuinely felt for Rocky in that moment. He's been accumulating all this wealth based on a promise he gave his mother. That's how much he loves her. That's how much he admires her. So for him to have a family of his own, to have children of his own, that would have been some interesting dynamic. Something maybe he would have changed. Maybe he would have altered his ways. Maybe, I'm just saying. because this all started with his mother's promise, because she was dying and she wanted him to be a rich and successful person. That's how it began. In fact, there's an interesting sequence in the movie where one person asks him, why are you gaining all this wealth? Why are you working so hard? And he says tells it's for his mother. And as he walks away, one of the ladies tells his Reena that his mother was there to tell him how to start, but now he has no one to tell him to stop. And it made sense to me, because Reena at that point hasn't told her she loves him, or they haven't married or anything like that. But when that little information in that few seconds, it made a lot of sense for Rocky's character, who he is. Yeah, he's strong guy, he's independent, he's action, whatever you want to call him. But deep down, he's lonely. He's got no one. So I'm not justifying the fact that he basically holding Reena hostage, but he's lonely. He's got no one, and so for him to finally, when she comes to him and says she's pregnant, it's actually a big moment for him. I, as an audience, when I was watching it, I felt it. So when he turns around and she gets shot, it's a little sad over there. But then what follows is two titans just clashing and beating each other up, which was great. There's a beautiful little, not beautiful I would say, but a very symbolic scene where Adira has a sword. He's got this Adira sword is a weapon that's a big deal over there. So he's using that during the fight, and Rocky falls down, and in between the sand or something, he picks up his old hammer, from the first movie, and it's a very exciting sequence where the hammer clashes with the sword. And it's not just symbolic, it's also a metaphor for both these characters, because Adira, sharp and deadly as a sword, but still Rocky is, pure force and power of a hammer can crush the sword, or can crush Adira. That metaphor is also played out really well. And also there's a visual shot over there where Rocky is swinging his hammer while Adira is swinging his axe, and the way that the whole thing is picturized, it's just, like I said, some of the scenes look like paintings. It's just, you can't take your eyes off the screen. Yeah, so that's it for, I think, immediate spoilers. Anything else? So I'm looking forward to chapter 3. I genuinely hope Rocky Bhai is not dead, because that would be lame. I hope chapter 3 is not about his 1978 to 81, his crimes in America, because that would be okay, something that happened in the past. But as a viewer, I'd be like, why does this matter? Rocky's dead. But I hope it's he's coming back. I hope he's there in chapter 3. I hope there's a bigger plan. Another thing I hope is that yeah, I'm excited for chapter 3 and I definitely want to see it. But because as I was watching chapter 2, was that I wanted to see as I was watching chapter 2, the thought I came to mind is when I came to the ending also, it felt a little incomplete. It's not because Rocky died or anything. I just felt like, I just felt like there's more story here to cover. That's what I felt like. So chapter 3 is fine, but if I were the makers, I would stop it at chapter 3. And it's not a question of money. Yeah, the makers of Breaking Bad, when they when they were making the AMC, the TV channel that was airing Breaking Bad, they wanted them to do Breaking Bad as long as they could, 7 seasons, 8 seasons, 9 seasons, but the makers of Breaking Bad were said that we don't want to do too much of a good thing, we don't want to overstay our welcome, we want to end it when things are good, when we want to leave them wanting more, that's the kind of way. So when chapter 2 ended, yeah, it left me wanting more. So yes, I would be open to chapter 3, but that's where I would draw a line. I think 3 movies, a trilogy would be enough. The KGF trilogy, that would be really exciting. I think that would be enough. Obviously chapter 3 would take time, because right now I think Prashanth, Neel, the director, is making Salar with Prabhas, and there are rumors that it's somehow Salar is connected with KGF. I'm not sure, we'll see. And after that he's going to be doing a movie with Junior NTR, so KGF 3 is definitely not something they're going to immediately start working on. And given chapter 1 and chapter 2 how long they took to make it, it's going to be a while before they even do chapter 3. But we know that they've because they've teased it, and because chapter 2 is successful, they'll obviously go forward with the chapter 3. There's enough material there, I think, to do the story. But yeah, that's it for spoilers there. Those are my theories. If you guys have your theories of your own, please share in the comments below. I would love to read them. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up icon, and of course subscribe to my channel for more reviews. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great day. Bye.